Well, how about that? We are live. So let me just start off real quick by letting everybody know that this is a special presentation of the Stephen D. Kelley Show. And we are broadcasting today. It is about 7:16 PST, 10 p.m. Eastern. We're getting a little bit of a late start because we were playing around with Skype. My guest tonight is Lesley Blair. And Lesley, of course, was on the show here just recently with Piers and Ollie, Jingly Jangly. And I enjoyed that show a lot. And I really wanted to get him back in here as quick as possible. So I'm taking advantage of this opportunity. He was free and willing and able. And what we're doing is a special broadcast today just because we are creating special content as we have our new upgraded system. And all of our old content just doesn't meet the new standards anymore. So we're anxious to create new content. But anyway, again, Lesley, I really do appreciate you being with me tonight here on Truth Cat Radio at such short notice. But I just want to say you're a very spiritual guy, and again, I liked a lot of what you said on the other show. But I really want to kind of exercise you a little bit here.
Okay.
And if you could kind of, sometimes whenever I get people in a situation like this, one of the first things I say is, "What woke you up?" But we'll get to that. You tell everybody more about yourself for the people that didn't hear you on the other show. Let's start at the beginning. Go for it.
Okay. Basically, I youngest of five children, um, was born with just a sense that okay, I'm looking around like something's not quite right here. That's just how I've always felt as a kid. I didn't kind of do everything that everybody else did, and it just always felt out of place just being here in general. And of course, life here, so to speak, kept confirming that year after year. The traditional dogma, the traditional conformity that we go through in terms of schooling, education, this kind of stuff. All of that was just rubbing me wrong, and I didn't understand why. And then dealing with people as an adult, different thing. I just kept looking at people because I would always operate from a certain set of morals or integrity to some degree, the best I could. And at least, if nothing else, I had a conscience about it. And I just kept noticing how people were like, wow, people, wow, like, wow, what is that? So I always just felt kind of strange. So basically, to make a long story as short as I can, I've had a series of events that was very strange. In particular, one of them was I'd married a very, very religious person at one point, extremely religious, and I wasn't. But I thought, well, okay, I try. And then somebody, his name is actually Eugene, very good friend of mine. Just an online friend, brilliant guy. And he sent me a link, and that particular link was Zeitgeist, the movie. All right. And I was like, well, what's this? He said, oh, everything. I said, everything? Okay. So I didn't even look at it. I was tired and was on my way to bed. So I kind of sent it to a friend. I sent it. I said, well, if Eugene sent it, okay, it's probably good. So I just sent it to a friend of mine, and I went to sleep. Well, the next morning, my phone was blown off of the hook. Yo, B, did you see that? And I was like, what? I didn't know what he was talking about. You didn't see it? And I was like, the link you sent me. No, I just sent it to you. What? Well, I'm coming right over. Okay, fine. So he came over, and he brought me a DVD. He had downloaded it, burned it to a DVD. He put it in, and within 12 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, I stopped the DVD and I just started screaming. Like, in other words, I knew something was wrong, but I had no idea as to how wrong things really were. So then I continued to watch it. And of course, I presented that to, the wife when she came home. And of course, that just was like, it just made her come completely unglued. She couldn't handle it. Just got up, started talking loud and walked out the room. And me and him looked at each other like, wow. Like the truth is a very kind of disturbing thing for some people. Wow. So that was one of the things right there that really just kind of confirmed for me some things that I had felt was wrong. But then I noticed everything that Zeitgeist didn't say. This is where it got really strange. Zeitgeist didn't really make any mention of indigos or star children or, extraterrestrial stuff. And I had had a few uh, sightings before and some other strange experiences, and Zeitgeist didn't address that. So I was like, I had to keep looking, I had to keep digging. So then, of course, going through trials and tribulations and things, and basically coming to the end of, you know, you can get exhausted sometimes in this human experience and what it puts you through. And so through that, just pain, suffering, emotional trauma, you tend to find something else. And then I had a series of things happen that had been happening. I just didn't realize what it was. And then I started paying closer attention to it. When I did that, that's when things started somewhat making better sense that okay, it's like layers, it's like rings. Like, okay, it doesn't make sense from here to here. Okay, then from here to here there's something else. Then from here to it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like how deep does this rabbit hole go? So basically that's where it started getting into I started looking at things like where we are, what we are, who we are, where we're not. So part of my discovery or pursuit of what I would consider truth, truth is kind of unique and exclusive to the observer, I guess, unique to the perspective. So for me, I started looking at what was my truth and doing what Bruce Lee would say, as they said, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is specifically your own. I kind of looked at that. I borrowed from this, that, much in a way that Bruce may have done with, Jeet Kune Do. I did that same thing with just different philosophies, and I picked things that made sense or things that confirmed things that I had experienced. And so that's how I kind of formulated this little belief or this little process of viewing. It's just my perspective. That's all. I have a perspective just like everyone else does. And that's how I kind of arrived at this. It's a collection of getting rid of traditional organized religion,
Well, let me
getting
ask you
rid
a
of,
question, Lesley. Um,
yes,
now, I'm glad that the zeitgeist thing, you kind of saw past that, because that's really important. I know that sort of thing can open up a lot of eyes. Obviously, there's
absolutely.
there's there's lots of truth in there, but then, like you said, it's like 50% something not there.
Correct.
Uh, and that's an awesome thing because a lot of people that get caught up in the zeitgeist, they don't see that,
Correct.
and they don't realize that this utopia thing has come through before. I
Mhm.
know that Nasara is very similar, but what I
Correct.
wanted to ask you was prior to this, this zeitgeist obviously had a big effect on you. But
Yes.
when we talk about organized or conventional religions, how were you raised? What did your parents bring you up as?
My grandfather founded a church. He was a Reverend Solly Lee Harris, rest in peace. And he was a Christian. And basically, if I'm not mistaken, Baptist, I guess. And pretty much, he never forced my moms to go to church, and therefore, my moms never forced us to go to church. Now, in that perspective, I grew up most of my life as, so to speak, a Christian, and it's passed down as to you kind of knew what your parents knew. All right, and then there was a lot of different things going on, and now, Steve, I got to be honest with you, since we're talking about this.
Wait a minute, Leslie. Before you go there, I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a quick question.
All right. All right.
Is Christ your buddy or what?
He used to be.
Oh, come on, man. He's still your buddy,
Honestly.
man.
Now, this is what I'm getting at. Now, see, this isn't easy, but for me, when I started understanding the contradictions that I started finding in Christianity in of itself. Now, this is what I'm saying. For me, it didn't work anymore. It started collapsing under the hypocrisy of its own weight. Now, that's news, but I'm just being honest with you.
Well, I'm not giving
That's
up
what
on you,
happened.
dude. I'm
You
not
know,
going to
that's
give up on you, man.
yeah, yeah,
That,
yeah. But
that's that
but what I'm
organized
saying
religion
is
thing. Hey, okay,
yeah, I
I hear
couldn't
you.
do
I hear
that
what you
anymore.
mean. My mom made me go to church, and I didn't like
Yeah,
it,
right,
but I was an
right,
altar boy. I did the whole. I went to Catholic school for
right,
7 years, and
right.
I'm still a Christian. I still,
Yes,
I do when I do my healing and all that. It's Christ doing all the work,
yes,
But as far as the Bible is concerned, and religious leaders and all the historical crap,
yeah.
especially the Catholic Church, obviously it's
Absolutely,
like Inquisition and everything else.
absolutely,
I mean, I had to have hard lessons, and I went back and learned everything over, when
absolutely.
I woke up.
Yes,
But then I had to throw in UFOs and everything else and work all that into the equation.
absolutely. Yeah, the basket gets a little bit bigger. Yes, exactly.
But I
Especially when
never
you
let
want to
go of
talk about
Christ. So.
Ezekiel's wheel.
All right, well,
But
go ahead,
yes,
go ahead, go ahead.
okay. But now, in all honesty, Stephen, what I did do, and I can tell you how I got to this. Okay, of course, you have, uh, let's say you have um, pro-black African Americans, Pan Africans, and what they will say about Christianity, right?
Well, yeah.
Now, what their perspective is that here you are, an African American, you taken out of Africa, stripped of your knowledge, stripped of your own language, and then they hand you this. Now, think about that for a second. Here's somebody that's beating you, raping you, killing you, hanging you from trees, but they want you to believe that they're going to hand you something good. That's their premise. Now, most people look at that and go, wow, that is kind of funny. Hmm. So from there, you had all of these questions. So all of these questions, I started digging into the origins and the history of Christianity. And it just, I was like, wow. So then you start looking at the introduction. And like I said, I'm just explaining to you how I've evolved out of that. You started looking at this stuff, and that's where my questions started coming in. I had a lot of questions, and they were infantile kind of questions, like things about race and color, and how is this person this color from this continent with these people that are supposed to be of this color. That you had all of these questions. So out of these questions, I said, hold on a second. This is bigger than that. Then you run across somebody like Jordan Maxwell, and you sit back and listen to what he says. And he's like, wow. Then you sit back and you run across a guy like Michael DeSarion. You listen to what he says. Wow. Then on
What
and
about Stephen
on.
Kelley, man? You gonna throw me in there too?
well, well, all I'm saying is when I did my research, Stephen, about organized religion or Christianity, and then actually started digging into the identity of the individual known as Jesus Christ, I came up short, man. I was like, ooh, wait a minute.
Well,
Wow.
well, listen, Lesley. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
Okay, I don't think that there's a whole lot of space between us right now. I mean, because first of all, I don't have a whole. From what you've said right now, with all the
Yeah,
cultural nonsense and all the corruption and everything that's
absolutely.
been thrown in there, it's very common for people to feel that way.
Yes.
Now, Now, I had to go through all kinds of crap too because one of the first things that when I woke up is I realized there's no such thing as good and evil per se. There's no absolute. I realized it was all these shades of gray, and the
Mhm.
guys that I thought were the good guys turned out to be not so good, and the guys that I thought were the bad guys weren't so bad. And then I saw that was always going back and forth and changing. But I know I can just tell you this: when Christ was here, none of this he didn't intend for any of this crap to happen like it's going on right now. And when he died, that was corrupted. There wasn't supposed to be a church. It was supposed to be a community and just a concept, service to others and all that. But it was corrupted. And it's like the show we just did with Jay here. He
Yeah.
was talking about the Council of Nicaea, and
Yes.
that was back when Constantine said, "Oh wow, what
Yep.
are we going to do?" And he basically took over the church and he made it official, and he brought Satan in there, and
Hmm.
it's been satanic ever since. And
Absolutely.
it's like you got the pedophile priests and
Absolutely.
all this crap. It's because it's been corrupted and
Hmm.
infiltrated and turned and bastardized.
Yes,
But
inverted.
yeah, but
Albert Pike mentioned that. Yeah,
well, yeah, he's certainly one of the players. But the
absolutely.
but the relationship, though, the physical relationship, and I'll tell you something else.
All
Because I
right.
talked about the UFO crap and all that.
Yes.
When you get into all that UFO stuff, you
Yes.
find out that Jesus doesn't go away. He's still a player in all that. But his
There are some that will say Jesus was an extraterrestrial. We'll
well,
keep
they
that
don't.
on
Well,
going.
what it is they call him an ascended master.
Right. Right.
He's like
Right.
the head of the Galactic Federation. Everybody. He's like the boss of the Rebel Alliance, if you will.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. And the what the Empire is
Yeah.
the reptoids and the service to self bastards that are
Absolutely.
ruling the earth and everything else.
Now
And that
there, Stephen, to me, if I may, I kind of disagree with you a little bit about the distinction between good and evil. Meaning, I do think there are just like the terms is exactly you just hit on one of them: service to self and service to others. Right now, this is how I determine kind of good and evil. The service to self guy, this guy will load up everything he can for himself and watch every single person around him starve to death. He could care less. That's destructive. Now, if you turn around and look at a service to others' spirit, they're going to make sure that everybody's okay. That's growth. That's love. That's expanding. So one leads to death and destruction, and one leads to progress. That's what I consider good and evil.
right. But
You see what I'm saying? Now, those things
I
don't
agree.
change.
I
You
agree.
see what I'm trying to say?
But
Those perspectives don't change.
their balance though changes though. Because it's like
Well, yes. Yeah, the percentages shift.
exactly.
Yes. Yeah, and the perspective shifts. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But it's still there. Like, in other words, as truth is in the eye of the beholder, like beauty,
Mhm.
um, right and wrong is too. Or evil is too. An evil person doesn't wake up thinking that what they're doing is evil. No, they think what they're doing is good. But the end result of it doesn't change. Either you helped somebody or you murdered somebody. Those two things don't change. No matter what your perspective is, you can justify your reasons of why you didn't help somebody. You can justify your reasons of why you murdered to somebody. The truth of the matter is, these two things don't change. We can talk about perspectives all day long, but those two things do not change. Either you helped somebody or you harmed and killed somebody.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So there's the
Just do no
distinction.
harm. Yeah.
Life, death. Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, I agree. But then again, I still think that if we were to all try to endeavor to be 100% service to others, we'd fall short. And I like to think that Christ is the example of 100%, and that we shoot for. And I don't think there's been too many humans. There's been a few humans that we think got pretty close to it. Gandhi, Mother Teresa per se, Buddha, maybe someone of this nature, who devoted their lives to serving others. They probably achieved that Christ consciousness, if you will. But I know that all of us, we're certainly never going to be able to do that. But I like to think that we need to try to be at least a little over 50% service to others as opposed to service to self.
I'll share with you a little philosophy that I came up with of my own.
All right.
When you talk about a creator of all things, picture that for a second, right? So that means everything in existence came from it, good, bad, and everything in between. Now, watch this one. We are fractals. This is what we talked about on the last show, image representations of it, the microcosm of a macrocosm. So within us all, there's the capacity for both. You have the free will to decide and choose which one you want to be, which one you wish to represent. But it's all in there. Just like what you said, it's varying degrees. And to put it another way, so look at a battery. A car has a negative post, it has a positive post. It's the nature of energy to have these two things.
Oh,
It's
I gotta respond to that, dude.
all right.
That's an awesome analogy. But let me show you how I use that analogy.
Okay.
We talk about moving energy all the time.
Yes.
The yin and yang,
Flow,
and
flow,
right,
currency.
right,
Yeah.
chi, if you will.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And we know that
Yin
it goes
yang.
in both directions.
Absolutely.
Male and female. We got females usually going up, males usually going down,
Absolutely.
et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Well, it's the same. We talk about good chi, bad chi, good orgone, bad orgone, all that.
Yes.
And if I tell a woman, it says, well, the female energy is less desirable to the male energy. We use the male energy with healing. They go, what the hell? Why is the female always got to be the bad one? And I'm like, no, this is not an issue of good and bad. That's like saying the negative contact on a battery is the bad side and the good side is the positive side. You need them both.
You need them both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
You
is
need
the way it
them both.
is. But that's where that
Absolutely.
balance thing comes in, because
Absolutely.
if you had too much of one, it's not,
Correct.
it's not right.
Correct. And this goes back to the other thing that we kind of touched on in the last show, which I said this, and this is what we're talking about now is the reason why I said that. When I was talking to Ollie, I was saying that how if you look at the perspective of taking this world and trying to change it all for the good, right? I mean, the utopia thing that you're talking about,
Mhm.
the reason why it faces the resistance it has is because the other opposing side is allowed as well. In other words, if you consider for a second that this particular planet, this particular reality was created by something demonic, a negative entity, if you consider that for a second, then you understand that this place exists according to its free will as it imagined. So
Oh
if you
man.
look at,
Well, I'm sorry I
watch,
made all that noise. I'm sorry, but I thought I was
it's
on
okay.
mute there. I'm sorry. Go for
No,
it.
no, 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 no. And so, Stephen, what I'm saying is like if you look at an immortal spiritual being, which is what we are, image representations of a creator, one of the things that we all forgot how to do was create worlds. That's what we do. We create worlds. We create reality. We create matter from thought. Okay. This is why you can focus on something, manifestation that happens. That's quote unquote the secret. Our spirits create matter from thought. The problem is here we are, and this goes to another subject, just touches back on the holographic thing. Here we are playing like roles, like in somebody else's video game, basically, to put it in a very, very layman's kind of a term. So here we are playing in somebody else's game, not understanding that that's what we're doing because we're perceiving this as reality when it's
Let me
not.
let me share something with you that I think will kind of coincide with what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it'll allow the mechanics to, so you'll see where I'm coming from.
All right.
Okay, I believe, um, and this is based on what I understand from dealing with the aliens and all this crap. The
Yeah.
way it's set up is it's all working with the variables which are most physical, from pure physical to pure spiritual. The creator at the very top, and its multiple levels, is the highest level of density, which is pure spiritual. The
Absolutely.
lowest level of density, which you could almost consider as being the realm of the dark side,
Hmm.
is the purely physical.
A
Now,
rock.
the rock, exactly, exactly. Yeah, well, in the Bible, even says, well, Lucifer's going to hide under the rocks and stuff. But
Yeah.
this is what they
Exactly.
meant.
Yeah.
So everything, from what I understand, this is kind of like a reincarnation sort of thing. It works. It starts out in the level 1, works up to level 2, which is like plants and animals. Level 3, which is like humans. Then after this, it goes up to like aliens, what have you, and so on and so forth, up to the very highest level, which of course is the creator. But and everything works down from there. And this is also part of that fractal thing and that whole thing with us being worked on. But the thing is that the point I was trying to make is like, oh, I totally lost it there. But the I believe that the level that we're on right now, this third density level, it's represented by the yin and yang, which is that inner position, juxtaposition of the good and evil, the black and white, the whatever, the male and the female, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But when we move on to the next level, when we graduate, which is sort of what we're getting ready to do, we enter a level it's a higher content of spirituality versus physical, so it's a completely different reality per se. But from what I understand, while we're on this level, we have to choose either service to self or service to others, because when we graduate from this level, we're either going to go into one type of reality that's service to self devoted, or a type of reality that's service to others, which is like two different timelines. And so they say that on this timeline is the last place that this coexistence, or not timeline, but in this level of reality is the last place where this continues. So that's sort of like where this big spiritual battle is going on between good and evil per se. It's like a recruitment process, if you will, and that kind of certainly plays into that whole biblical thing. But I'm just saying is that if we are able to reach this transition peer point with slightly more service to others than service to self, hopefully, we'll graduate. We'll have a passing grade.
Scale.
Yeah. We'll be. We didn't get an F, or we passed. We get to graduate. Mm-hmm. But if not, they're stuck.
Well, watch this one.
Okay.
Stephen, there's something that I kind of thought about. Let me give you a little bit of a quick background. If I asked you, what is the dimensions, how wide is the room you're in, you would use a ruler to determine that, correct?
Yeah.
All right. You wouldn't use a scale, right? All right. Now, if I ask you how much does a gallon of milk weigh, or that glass of water you might be drinking, how much does that weigh? Okay, you would use a scale for that and not a ruler, correct? So here's what I'm getting at. Sometimes we are measuring things with the wrong tools. When I understood the difference between something material and immaterial, that became a new measuring tool. You start seeing things differently. Something immaterial is being closer to the truth, something material being closer to a lie. Now watch this one. Modus operandi, the way of things, the nature of something. You begin to see certain similarities when you learn to apply that to different things that you observe. Let me give you a good example. As you were just now talking, let me show you what popped in my mind. You talked about a hierarchy, dimensional hierarchy. Now, that is given or said by whoever, but watch this one. It's going by a certain set of laws and rules determined by whomever. But watch this. Let's take a hacker for an example. A hacker doesn't necessarily go by those rules, does he? He really doesn't. He breaks rules all the time. He finds out things that nobody knows. He gets information that everybody's hiding. A hacker can do things that doesn't go by any of those rules. So let's look at the modus operandi of that for a hacker. Here's a hacker that breaks rules, let's say. All right, let's look at a hacker like Neo in the Matrix, let's say. See that? Now, they're not playing by those rules. Now, let me show you something else. Let's look at modus operandi for a second, and let's apply that to basically a court system. All right. When you go to court, here you have admiralty law, maritime law, basically setting and dictating rules to your quote unquote corporation, your straw man. Now, if you declare yourself to be a sovereign citizen, now none of those laws really apply to you. None of them. So let's look at this again. Let's look at it this way. Modus operandi. What if those levels that you speak of are just distinctions in knowledge? Those that don't know are at the bottom. Those that do know are at the top. Let's just call it levels of intelligence, right? Or knowledge. So watch this one. If you know what you are as what you came from as an immortal spiritual being, then all of a sudden these rules don't apply with you because of your knowledge of self and knowing that you are the creator in that form. You are an image representation of it. You are just as powerful as anything in that level of hierarchy if you know that.
Well, let me respond to you then.
Yeah.
All right. Nothing that you said is wrong, actually. And that is because all of these levels that I talk about,
yeah,
you are on all of these levels simultaneously.
Absolutely.
Now, when you talk about the secret per se,
yes,
and I know, obviously I follow that quite closely, and I was going to hope that you were going to mention what the bleep. That's another good one for people out there if they haven't.
Yes.
That was anyway. But But
Yeah.
the thing that I've learned, and because I'm trying to do everything from a spiritual, psychic way, but at the same time,
Absolutely.
if I understand the scientific, physical, mechanical way things work, then that helps me
Correct.
to apply that. So
Correct.
what I've learned from quantum physics and this whole business with what's going on when we manifest and we send out our scalar signal from our brains and it tells the soft matter to turn into hard matter and all that.
Yeah.
What I've discovered is that this system that we're actually utilizing, that we're accessing, that's responding to our commands, if you will, is actually this higher level of density. And
Hmm.
what I've learned is that all of this reality that we perceive on this level here can essentially be found on the electromagnetic spectrum,
Hmm.
and that this other level, these higher levels, which we can only, we can't even hardly perceive, but if we were to try to do that, we would barely perceive the one just above us, and then certainly, if we're lucky, we might be able to perceive what comes after that, but if we are able to actually work with this level above us, then yeah, we can do all these things because that's what we're
Hmm.
doing. We're using that energy or that those gifts, that godlike power, and it
Yes.
is. It's the creation is very godlike, and
Absolutely.
and people say, well, I want to find the God within me. When you were talking about creation earlier and all that, um, I like to people I like to try to explain to people that what they think of as creation, it's not like God is a factory and he's got machines and he's taking bits of this and that and building stuff. No, 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 no.
No, 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 no.
It's everything that you could possibly perceive in your reality and in any form whatsoever. That is God. That is all creation is the creator. It's because all mass, all matter, all
All
energy
stems from that.
is it's
Yeah.
all yeah, it all comes from
Yeah.
source.
Yeah.
It all go back to source too.
Absolutely.
And you know what? When you understand that,
Yes.
then you understand that all humans are the same damn person. You realize that
From the same genetic soup.
we're all
No,
the
I know
same
what you
damn
mean.
person. We're just how
Well,
could
we're
you
different
possibly
perspectives
how,
of the same
well
consciousness.
how could you possibly hate it's the way I see it, it's like we're all taking turns being
Breathing the same air.
being the same person, and only it's like we experience it. It's like the same person experiencing every single other person's life.
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. From one generation to the next, from different perspectives. Yada da 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 da.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
that.
You
Yeah,
can't
exactly.
in the future in the it's all fractal, right? It's
Yeah,
all forwards
correct.
and backwards,
Right.
sideways, other way.
Yes.
It don't
Yes.
matter. Up, down.
Yes.
It's
Up,
all
down, sideways, left,
yeah,
right, inside out. Yes.
exactly. And when
Yeah.
you once you realize that, you can't hate. You,
Absolutely.
it's like how
Well,
could you hate somebody? It's you.
well, even in this regard, Stephen, even in this regard, if you just look at the spiritual component in of itself and everything that has gone into hiding the knowledge of what the spiritual component is actually what you really are. But you have a brain that has a certain amount of consciousness, a mind consciousness, but that in no shape, size, form, or fashion is who and what you are. It's kind of like, again, modus operandi. Watch the comparison. Let's look at a PC, right? Like I'm looking at mine right now, right? Okay, there's this nice, beautiful graphical, interface, right? Windows 10, right? Yeah, I'm looking at it, right? Underneath all of that is DOS, ones and zeros.
Really? Oh yeah, yeah, right. Binary, right.
You get me? You see, underneath all of that. So what I'm saying is that's how humans are created as well. You have this mind, you have this ego. Yes, I'm me, Lesley Blair. Yeah, no. Underneath all of that is my consciousness of what I am and who I actually am. Underneath all of that,
Well,
your spirit
I I
component is
like
available to you
yeah.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Well,
It's
you've got your body, you've got your
yes,
subconscious, and then your
yeah,
subconscious
and your
connects to your
ego,
superconscious.
yeah, your ego and all of that.
But
Exactly.
we all connect to the superconscious.
Absolutely. Well, now you do have some, Stephen, that will not even acknowledge what we're talking about now. They have no idea of a spiritual component. They think they are 100% meat suit. And those are mind blowing people to me. They think that they are 100% meat suit, and what we're talking about, the spiritual component, yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah,
nonsense.
yeah, yeah. What do they call
Those,
that?
though, when you don't see, this is another thing. Again, forgive me, Stephen, modus operandi. People think it was bad when, so to speak, African Americans was stripped from their knowledge and brought from their homeland and brought to America, and that loss of identity. You know what? But look at that. Do you know what that is to me? That's actually something on a smaller scale, as massive as that was. That's a small statement as to what actually occurred with humanity, meaning being stolen from the knowledge of knowing what you are as a spirit. You've been told that you're a human. That's where the biggest knowledge theft occurred, was denial, the denial that we have of not knowing what we are as a spiritual being. Because with that gone, that's how they were able to implement everything else, your religions and everything else. That's where the control came in, because knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. If you knew what you are as an immortal spiritual being and everybody woke up to that, the illusion crumbles. The game stops, because you realize, wait a minute, I'm here helping this guy build his world. Wait a minute, you mean to tell me I could be way on the other side of a galaxy somewhere, creating a whole nother universe of my own? Really?
Yeah, but
All of a
you're
sudden,
here. You're here for
crumbles.
a reason, man. You're here to do a job.
I think
That
I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it now, which is sharing that bit of information. That's why I think I'm here. I'm
well,
that guy.
well,
I'm that guy whispering to people, "Psst, hey, there's a gate over there. You know, if you could make it to that gate, you could keep running." Then I go to the next person. Hey, psst, wake up. You're not where you think you are. You see that gate over there?
all right.
That's what
Okay.
I'm here for.
Let's.
That's how I
Okay.
see it.
So what do you think needs to be done? I mean, I'm just getting a little hypothetical here, but
Okay. I
okay.
think, and this goes right back to the point you just made about 3 minutes ago. I think, and I say, I come to the same conclusion as you, but a different avenue. Watch this one. If I know that the creator that is within me is exactly the creator that is in within you, then what are we doing, Stephen? You and I are exchanging perspectives of an experience. This is the creator talking to itself, me talking to you, and you talking to me. You're learning from me, I'm learning from you. We're sharing our perspectives. As the creator evolves, as it exhausts all of the possibilities of what it can be.
Well, it all adds up, right? But then eventually it's all
Yes.
going to repeat itself. That's what I think. I think it's going to go on for
Well,
a
yes,
trillion years, and then it's going
but
to start
but
over again.
but I tell you something about that one. All right. Now that was the story that I mentioned before on the other show, in the sense of what we are doing here, being caught in a loop. Because immortal spiritual beings are just that. They're immortal, they can't die. But what you can do is detain one.
Oh, but
So
but that's
that's
right. We're trying to escape the loop, right? Ultimately.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, because the loop is purgatory. Because, in other words, imagine you're trying to get from, let's say, the creator created you to be, period, to be. Well, be what? Whatever you wish to be. Okay. So imagine if you're trying to explore, let's say, an entire Walmart. You got to go get the price tags on everything that's in Walmart. But imagine you never leave the section right there with the socks. You
Mhm.
just stay right there.
I'm
Wait a minute. You
sorry.
got the whole store to go, but you're still sitting there counting the socks. This is what's going on with us. We're still sitting there counting these socks. We're still looking at price tags on these socks. We die and we wake up again, and here we are with these socks again. We die, we wake up, and here we are with these socks again. And the thing is the amnesia that occurs in between these cycles, it looks like we're counting these socks for the first time. But we've been doing this for millions of years.
All right, but let me just say this. Okay,
Yes.
if we look at so-called ancient masters, if you will, I'm going to pick one in particular.
Yeah.
Buddha.
Okay.
basically said the same thing. He said that we're at this endless loop, endless cycle, and we're
Yes.
striving to break free of this and
Correct.
graduate. Now, I believe that's true. I believe that's exactly what we're doing. But I think what it is it's like a university, if you will, and your soul has to mature. And I believe that it takes a long time to do this. But there's a couple other aspects of this I gotta throw out there also. And I think that what Buddha learned and what he tried to teach everybody is that the quickest way to get off the merry-go-round is through service to others, and that's the path to graduation. And that's honestly that's what I always say. But let me throw one more thing out at you. The Illuminati have certain belief systems, and these belief systems are based on concepts that actually are of extraterrestrial origin, such
Okay.
as such as the belief system that all of the souls on our planet have to graduate at the same time. Now,
Hmm.
apparently, from what I've learned, is that most planets that have humans only have about 200 million humans living on them at any given time. And this
Hmm.
way, it doesn't take that long for the collective souls to gather the experience necessary for them to all graduate. And so what's happening is because of our overpopulation, the 7 billion or whatever, it's obviously well over whatever, we've essentially used up the available souls. And then what happens is that new souls are being created, and these souls are very immature. So all of the old souls per se that have been here for a long time, they're ready to graduate, but they're waiting now for the preschoolers to catch up. And it gets very annoying for them. And this is one of the reasons why the Illuminati want to kill off so many people, because they seriously, that's
Yeah,
why
I
they
got
want
that.
that's why
Got
they
that.
want to kill off all the people.
Well, this is what made me laugh was a simple thing like, okay, humans collectively, this is too funny. A wife, I don't know if you've ever had one of these things. You had one of these things
I
before?
had one for
Wife?
22 years, man. I got six
Okay.
kids.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Well, this is a strange phenomenon. A simple thing like, honey, I want to go to the movies. Okay. Sweetheart,
What
what
do
do
you
you want
want
to
to
see?
see?
Well, whatever you want to see,
The answer
sweetheart.
to it's like, where do you want to
I
eat? Where do you want
yeah,
to
I
eat?
asked you what did you want to see? Well, whatever you want to see. Okay, we get to the movie theater. Yeah, can I have two tickets for? Baby, I don't want to see that. Hold on a second. Now you just said you see what I'm getting at? Now that's how difficult it is to even come with an agreement with somebody that's one of the
That
most paramount, closest people that you love in your life.
that's why I always go with the first thing when someone. No, seriously, I swear it's always the first thing
You
because
sound like my uncle. My uncle
when
used to
they
say that. My
say,
uncle Cecil
"What do
used
you
to say
want to?
that.
Where do you want to go out for dinner? Do you want to go here, here, here?" I always go with the first one because I know that's the one they want to go to. That's
Yeah,
why they said it first.
yeah.
Not telling you that's where they really want to go, but you're
Steve,
supposed
look
to
that
know that.
you you ask them that about dinner, the movies, wherever it might be. It turns into this long, 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 and after a while, you forget what was we doing. After a while, you forget it. It's just like, oh my
What were we
goodness.
arguing about?
Yeah, yeah. Like what were we talking about? Okay. So all I'm saying is that this is the kind of contrast and how difficult it is to just get quote so to speak people to agree. So I'm saying that to say modus operandi. It's kind of like this. I'll put it to you another way, Stephen. Watch this one. The Ten Commandments, right? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not, all that stuff, right? Ten Commandments, right?
Oh, you're bringing me into a good one now, but go
Okay,
ahead.
now watch this one though. Imagine those being set as rules that they know you can't keep. Hmm? You spend an eternity trying to keep those rules, but according to religion, there's only one that can able to do that, and that's Jesus, right? So here we are with the burden of trying to do Mission Impossible. We're trying to keep those Ten Commandments, and everybody's falling shy and falling short, like they become a unreachable goal. Well, here's what happens while you're
Well,
doing
that's
it.
what sin means. The word sin means to fall short.
Correct. Now, this is what I'm saying to you. When you use that as a parameter, you come up short every time. That's by design. So here's what I'm trying to say to you with the analogy that you was explaining about these levels. Remember I said in the other show, here we are, been here millions, some say billions of years. Forget that 6,000 years nonsense. We all know that's not true. Now watch this. Here we are being here for millions of years, but we as a species haven't evolved past a simple thing like racism, greed, corruption. We haven't evolved, lying, stealing. We haven't evolved past those simple
Oh,
things.
that shit repeats, man.
But I'm just saying, that's the problem. What are we here learning?
No,
If we
let me
can't
just
get
say it.
past
All right.
that,
I believe
what are we here learning? We're not
I,
learning nothing. We're stuck on stupid.
I
That's the
believe
point I'm
that
making.
they have epochs. All right. I believe that everything starts, so it goes like 20,000 years and kind of starts
Uh,
over. All right. It's like everything gets washed off and starts over. Like, and we've probably had, a million of these things on Earth. That's why we find the bones. Like for instance, the pyramids. No, hell no,
yes.
we didn't build those back in the
And
damn
no way in the
Jews.
world.
There's no way.
No way in the
No
world.
way. That was built long before modern humans.
Long, we can't replicate them now.
No,
It's
same
crazy.
thing. Same thing with that stuff in the other countries. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well,
you know what I'm
there's
saying?
pyramids on the
Incas and what have
continents.
you.
One.
Yeah, yeah. We
Yes.
didn't do that.
No, 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 no,
All that
no. No.
technology that went into
No
that,
way.
the moving
No
those
way.
stones and the power. What we know now that those things are big orgone generators, and we're just barely beginning to
So
understand
Kelley,
that stuff.
now watch this one. Modus operandi again. You remember the movie They Live? You ever seen that movie with
Yeah,
Roddy
well, yeah.
Rod
The
Piper?
Queen now says she's a damn lizard. Do you hear that? It's coming out public.
Who?
The Queen of
Oh
England.
wow.
Did you hear
Okay.
that?
No, really.
Yeah, the Queen of England is practically coming out now in public saying that she's not human.
Well, that would explain a lot. Wait,
Well, it's
wait.
getting kind of obvious, right?
It's getting kind of obvious, yeah. But watch this though. In that movie They Live, if you can remember the main character,
The
Rowdy Roddy
wrestler.
Piper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. What he was trying to destroy was this tower. Okay. That tower was emitting a signal that was keeping people asleep and blind. Hmm? Like, in other words, you couldn't see these things unless you had on these special
This
glasses.
is before cell phones too, huh?
Right, right. Cell phone towers and whatnot. But watch this one, though. How about many people are saying that pyramids are serving that same exact function? Ooh,
Hmm. Hmm.
ooh,
Hmm.
ooh. Emitting a frequency. There's one on every continent. Imagine that's what's keeping us from seeing these things, or imagine that is what's helping to keep us blind. Hmm?
I don't know, man. That's an interesting theory. I've never
It's an
heard that
interesting
before.
theory. It's
I'm
interesting.
well. Okay, well, okay. This is the thing. Like, for instance, the Great Pyramid in
Giza,
Egypt, Giza.
Giza.
All
Yeah,
right, they're just now discovering all these aquifers and things that are underneath the pyramid that run out to the river and what have you. And
yes,
I've seen a lot of people that have, when Tesla was doing his big power generating system at Wardenclyffe, New Jersey, he did the same thing. He was tapping into this aquifer down below. And this is very similar to the work of Wilhelm Reich, who was basically did something similar when he would essentially tap into like bodies of water, lakes and stuff, and
oh yeah.
he'd use that right with
Hmm.
his whole
Hmm.
orgone thing.
Hmm.
But so what I suspected was that it's like these pyramids were probably generating wireless electricity, and
Ah,
they were drawing the energy right out of the earth, and that
how about that?
this was their power system.
How about that? Right, a power plant. Right,
Yeah, and everybody was enjoying this incredible advanced lifestyle, and this thing was powering it.
absolutely.
I suspect.
That's possible too.
But here, let me tell you something else. So like Jay, he's talking about Atlantis and stuff.
Yeah,
And he said that there was a catastrophe or whatever, a big day thing. I suspect that that was the end of one epoch and the beginning of a new epoch. And I think that
absolutely.
the Atlantis and all those guys were at this last epoch. What I heard was that Atlantis, the society was like a service to self society. Like we talk about service to self versus service to others. And I
Yes.
believe that the nature of this service to self versus service to others is actually an energetic function, and it's a lot like gravity. and
Mhm.
I've seen it like within they talk about the Ark of the Covenant and things like that. The people who are serving others seem to give off gravity, and the people who are taking the energy, who are serving themselves, seem to be absorbing this gravity.
Mhm.
So there seems to be something to do with that. You know,
Loosh. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The loosh is that negative energy.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
what I figured out is that when you start serving others and you start giving off this energy, it's almost like you got a damn force field,
Well,
right?
yes.
You start
Yeah.
repelling this negative crap.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't.
it's also too, and you know, and I know, it helps when you're doing something wonderful and positive for another, and you touch someone else's life in a positive way. They're smiling. That makes you feel good, and also it makes that person feel good. If you give somebody $1, they have $1 and you don't. But if you gave them knowledge, you have knowledge and they have knowledge. So it's kind of like when you do that, it spreads joy, it spreads good
What's
vibes.
energy? It.
Yeah, and
Well, I'll
it's
tell you.
positive energy, and everybody starts feeling good and positive, and you try to maintain that. You try
Well,
to maintain that.
when we sit here on the radio and we talk to people, there's people listening and they're absorbing whatever it is that we're saying.
Yes.
We're absorbing. We're getting energy coming back from them.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so it's a give and take,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah, because
so
there
it makes
people
us
will come back
stronger.
with comments and reviews and all that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Keeps on
Yeah,
going
and
too.
yeah, and so just like we were saying, I kind of look at it this way too, Steve, and as I kind of, if you want to put it back into the sides, teams for a second, right?
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of this stuff I'm talking about, you can find very similar stuff, which is a very interesting book. I got to mention Zeitgeist. Remember, I said talked about certain things and certain things it didn't. Well, when I read Alien Interview, I was like, oh my goodness. Hmm.
All
Oh my. Ooh. When I read that, I was
right, all
like,
right.
okay, now that,
Who did
okay.
that one?
Right. I'm like, okay, now we talking. Now that right there makes the most sense of anything I've ever heard. That book makes more sense than anything I've ever heard or read.
Dude, you have to check out Message from the Pleiades.
Okay.
If you like that, that's the one by Billy Meyer.
Yeah.
He's the guy that was, hooked up.
I'm familiar about him.
All right.
Yes.
Well, that's
Yeah.
his book, and
Ah, okay.
it's an awesome book, of course, and
Yeah.
there's so much in there that even it's a relatively old book, and yet if you read it, you'll realize is that a lot of the stuff he's talking about is going on right now.
Right.
It's like,
So now this is what's interesting. I mentioned that for this reason because you can bring up a couple of things with it. For one, that was the first time that I actually heard somebody say that, hey, you're not a human being. You're actually an immortal spiritual being. I was like, ooh, wow, wow. I mean, that was just profound. Okay, like again, I was just like, wait, whoa, whoa, whoa.
yeah, but you're
So
wearing a human suit.
yeah, yeah, that goes back to, you are a spiritual being having human experiences, not a human being having spiritual experiences.
Well, what were you before you were a human? Do you remember?
Well, see,
What
yeah,
were you? A wolf,
yeah,
maybe?
well, well,
And
well,
then before that, what?
this goes back to what I was saying. Like people go, well, Blair, how do you explain it? I said, well, think about a battery. A battery really doesn't care what you put it into. You can take a double D battery, stick it in a
Seriously, I'm getting a
flashlight,
wolf vibe from you, dude.
huh?
I'm getting a wolf vibe from you.
Well, that's possible. Yeah, that's possible. There's some liking in my how would you might want to say DNA reading. It's in there. But what's funny is and also too, um, when we have these dreams, right? Like you have a dream you're flying, right? Like what is that? It's like a bird's eye view, right? Like what is that?
I was doing that too the other night. It's
Well, here's
awesome.
what's funny about that. That's probably a point in one of these lifetimes where you may have been, a bird of prey. You may have been a bird at some point. And that's the other interesting thing I was saying when you think about and consider the uh, aspects and qualities of being a energy source and a mortal spiritual being, right? Like you don't care what you get put into, meaning like you exist from that particular form of whatever that is. So watch this, Stephen. Let's say you have And I thought about this. This really is kind of unique. It's interesting. Like people will say, "Well, I just don't understand a gay man." Okay. Well, look at it
Uh-huh.
this way. Watch this one.
I'm
What if?
sorry. Let's go for it. Go on.
Hold on. Watch this. Watch this one. What if he's just trying to remember? Meaning, in a former lifetime, he might have been a woman.
Well, that's totally right. But let me just
You
throw
see that? That's
that it works
like
that way. That totally works that
right.
way.
You see what I'm saying?
But
Right. And the
there's
same
something
thing with
else.
a female.
There's something really
Yeah.
important here, okay, that I got to throw back out there because this is that
Yeah.
where we talked about the male and female energy thing. Okay. All
Right.
right. And a lot of people, sometimes I've talked to people who are having, transgender issues or something like
Hmm.
that, and they don't really understand what's going on, and they don't
Right.
really understand that we all got both of those energies, and
Right.
one can be a little stronger one time than
And
another.
the other. Sure.
But we all want to achieve this balance, and ultimately, as an enlightenment person or trying to achieve enlightenment, we have to achieve that, which is not easy. And this is why
No.
we have to seek out a complementary partner, somebody that we can have a tantric type of experience with that's going to allow us to energetically balance ourselves and achieve all this flow.
Right.
But the thing is, those the gay people,
Yeah.
there's right away they're going to be more psychic, because they're
Right.
going to be closer balanced. And but at the same time is those that you got to understand in our society though we got some real problems with these guys screwing with people with their DNA with phenol plastics and what have
Sure.
you, and
Sure.
and all of these. Oh my God, the foods, even
Sure.
even the damn chlorine in the water.
Or that chemical that they put in water.
Yeah.
I forgot the
Well,
name of
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. You might not be aware of this. Is that when they think of what to use to purify the water, they could use peroxide or they could use chlorine. Peroxide is actually natural because it's O22. It's H2O2. It's practically water anyway.
Hmm.
And yet it's cheaper. And yet they use chlorine. What happens when you have chlorine in your water? It takes that cholesterol that's in your bloodstream that comes naturally in your food and it turns it into plaque. And cholesterol is supposed to be turned into testosterone. That's where
Mm.
testosterone comes from, is
Mm.
cholesterol. So when they're out there saying, "Oh man, you got to control your cholesterol. You got to take these drugs," and oh,
they're
and then
trying to
they're and then
trying
they're
to get you to wear a dress.
uh-huh, and yeah, and
Right.
then the chicken you're eating. Oh, you got to eat this lean chicken. Never mind, it's got loaded with estrogen promoting hormones,
Right.
and then it's like, oh well, here have some soy, have some good soy protein. Oh, never mind,
Right.
it totally promotes the estrogen. And I'll
See.
tell you something else about our little sick society.
Right.
A man can go anywhere he wants and get estrogen, but he could not get testosterone.
Amazing.
And yet a woman can get testosterone all day. Go figure that
Interesting.
out. Who's in charge of those decisions?
Absolutely. Well, you know what I think, right? This is what I was thinking about this too, Steve. I was saying this to someone today. A good friend of mine, Dex, actually. I was talking to Dex earlier, chatting with him. And basically, it I can't help but to think, again, when you understand this experiment, this human experiment, where all kinds of things are actually going on, most of the stuff we don't even know about. I'm sure you've probably heard of or familiar with Agenda 21 and what it's trying to do in the sense of culling the population, right? It's like population control. Well, there's a lot of ways they're going about it, and one of the ways could very well be, and I don't mean to offend anybody, but I'm just looking at this for a second. Like, hey, if you look at um, in a gay agenda, naturally per se, we stop reproducing. We stop
Well,
reproducing.
we stop fighting too, because it's like you don't have a bunch of angry males running around
Oh
anymore.
yeah, 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 that too. But mainly reproduction. That comes almost to a screeching halt.
Yeah,
So
they're definitely doing that, huh?
yeah, if you look at that, ain't nobody reproducing. You can take two men and two women, sit them over here. They're not producing life. No.
Well, Leslie, you were talking about that one drug. and I know that
There's
there
something
was that
seen. I forgot the
scientist. There
name of
was
that. Yeah.
that scientist that now. Okay, tell me the story. This guy, did he invent it or did he just discover it?
What the chemical
Black
and what?
dude. Okay, because he said there's this dude that said that they were releasing this stuff in the water supply of the
Yes.
ghettos and what
Yeah.
have you.
You talking
Right.
about? I think it's Umar Johnson.
Well, I don't remember his name, but
Yeah.
I've seen him. I've seen his picture several times, and
Yeah.
he was the one that said that they were
Absolutely.
now.
That's what they were doing. Yeah.
Okay, but he discovered this because it seemed to me that they paid him or something to do some analysis, and then they wanted him to cover. Oh, I know what it was. They wanted him to come up with a drug that would make people gay, so that they could release it into the hood, and then they went and actually did it.
Yes.
And so he was. So that's why he blew the whistle. He said, "This is they."
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I got it
Yeah.
now.
Yep. Yep. And that's again the crazy kind of experiment. That's like the fun facts.
Yeah.
You've heard that one?
What's that about?
Fun facts. Basically, they came up with this company was hired to come up with this
Oh, jeez.
vaccination
Oh,
that would
gosh.
basically get rid of fundamental, like
Oh,
the
yeah, 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 yeah.
extremist kind of thing. So, in other words, it attacks a person's. In other words, a VMAT2 gene is basically a gene that allows a person to have faith. Okay, they call it the God gene. Okay,
Well,
people
does that
don't.
have anything to do with the pineal gland and the production of DMT?
I don't think so. I just think that this VMAT2 gene was found in people that have faith in a higher being. The people that don't, let's say like a bunch of atheists, they don't have a VMAT2 gene. So what they figured out was a vaccine that basically suppresses the VMAT2 gene. So it's basically like you're removing somebody's ability to have faith or believe in a God through this vaccination. And so
Well,
what's so funny was is they actually took this and sprayed it during Iraq. They actually administered this stuff to people in attempt. They use it as a biological weapon in attempt to try to get rid of, the religious extremist, the terrorist, the suicide bomber type of guy. And I thought that was very interesting. Like, hold on a second. Now you got a gene that you're going to attack with a vaccine that's going to basically remove a person's ability to have faith. Okay, why don't you come up with one for greed? Why don't you come up? What's the gene for greed?
all right,
What's the gene for racism? That mental illness.
Leslie,
Why don't you cure that one?
they've got, listen, I had this show a little while back with
Yeah.
this woman named, oh gosh, I can't remember her name right now, but she's all about sound. Sherry Edwards. Yeah, that's her name.
Okay.
Anyway, she says that they have modified the sound coming out of your TV, your radio, et cetera, to
Mhm.
basically alter you in many ways. And one of the ways is your empathy, your ability to have empathy.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
from what I understand, it's like these video games, playing these video games. So you turn into pretty much like a zombie. You do this and you don't care. You
Hmm.
see, people think when you're playing these Call of Duty or whatever,
Hmm.
all those games, that because you're doing all this simulated killing, that this causes you to become, less sensitive to other humans. But it's actually something beyond that. It's actually electronic.
Very well could be. Well, for one thing, it's just anything that you are exposed to the most, very often you get immune to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, anything. If you, the first time you work at a store and you have to fillet a fish, you know, the first one might bother you a little bit. You sit there and do that for about 3 or 4 weeks or a
Are
month
you a
or even.
vegetarian or what?
I fluctuate. My
You
DNA
fluctuate?
doesn't. Yeah, my DNA just a little while ago when you was trying to reach me,
Yeah.
I had this episode where there was this cry for help. It sounded like it was coming from this like Burger King down the street.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I had to go rescue. I had to
Did you
go see
fix it?
about it. So yeah, I got it. There was a burger in need, so I'm all right.
Right on.
But no, I go through periods like that where I can sit down and just do nothing but vegetables, and I'll feel great. I'll lose weight, and after a while, I get so sick of that I don't know what to do. I'll start. I'll improve to a degree, and then I'll start feeling bad again
You know,
physically.
humans. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
weird.
I want to just say that we should all endeavor to want to be vegans, and
Yes,
certainly
I
that
get the concept of it.
it's
I do
noble.
get.
It's
Yeah.
certainly noble, but I think that as from a nutrition standpoint,
Mhm.
we need to get to the point spiritually to where we're deriving a lot of our nutrition from this flow of energy going through our body, and then we can actually do that on a more susceptible. In other words, the vegans that we have with us, they're trying to emulate essentially a higher form of human, such as we will all eventually become. But
Mhm.
I'm not quite there yet myself. But
No,
hey,
I
let me
can.
just say
Yeah.
this, Lesley. Did you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that Hitler was? Did you know that all the Nazis were strict vegans, and that had Hitler won World War II, all slaughterhouses in the world would have gotten shut down?
I did not know that. That's
Yep.
mind blowing.
He was a oh yeah, he was an animal lover, believe it or not. And all Nazis, everybody in the Nazi party had to be a vegan, and that one of his plans was one of the first things he did, of course, was he made kosher slaughter illegal. And kosher slaughter, of course, is where the animals bled to death, and
Sure.
they don't go through the stunning process or anything. And that was he also made it illegal in Nazi Germany to boil a living lobster. You could not boil a lobster in Germany.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's very
Never knew that. Yeah,
people
never knew that.
people. Oh yeah, they don't teach that stuff.
Nope.
But
No, no,
but
no. Never knew that.
had he won, he would have shut down all the slaughterhouses. That was on the docket.
Again, another reason to get rid of the guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Another reason. We can't
Anyway,
have him doing that. No, exactly.
hey,
Uh,
hang on. Let me give a little station ID here.
yeah.
We've been going for about an hour and a half roughly, and I just want to remind everybody that this is the Stephen D. Kelley Show. This is a special broadcast. It is Sunday night. It is actually 8:23 p.m. here in California. I'm talking with Lesley Blair. This is Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. I want to remind everybody also to please help us out economically if you can. Go to our support button on our main page, and there is also a chat room. If you have not done that, please go join the chat. Also, do everything you can to help us on the social media by sharing our ads, shows, host pages, etc. Everything that you do, all the likes, everything, it helps us increase our listenership, and that allows us to reach more people and helps us to do more good in the world. So with that, I want to say thank you, and I want to return back to Lesley. Hey, Lesley,
Yes.
I should let
Yes.
you talk and go pour. I've been waiting. I've been looking at
Okay.
this iced tea on the other side of the room. No, it's okay. No, I've got an empty thing of ice here in front of me, and I've got a fresh thing of tea, and I just put sugar in it a little while ago. I'm kind of waiting to add a little more ice, and then you'll be hearing me clinking ice. But
I understand.
hey, Lesley, listen.
Yeah.
You got to understand though that
Yeah.
sooner or later, before this show's over, that I have to get you to somewhat agree that Jesus is your buddy.
Now, Steve, we're going to be on here
No,
all night long.
come on now, seriously.
We're going to
All
be
right,
on here
all right,
all
no,
night
all right. Well,
long.
let me see. This is the thing. We started to talk about the cultural issues with the whole
Yeah.
foisted crap, Christian thing foisted on you, and I recognize that whole dogma belief control system is completely man-made crap.
Absolutely.
But I just want you to understand that it has absolutely nothing to do with what Christ is all about.
Mhm.
And I got to tell you, I do this Reiki. Okay, I heal people. I do it a lot, and it's really really powerful. And it's only getting stronger.
Okay.
And I don't do anything. All I do will basically what I've learned is that Christ's job is to basically relay our messages and our desires, our manifestations to the Creator. So if you're really trying to manifest it, really, it's a little more effective if you go through Christ, because that's kind of his job. And when I'm asking for healing and all that, I don't say, "Gosh, so and so needs this," or "I want you to do this." It's more like, let's do this. Let's take care of this issue for this person. You know that person. Yeah, let's do this. We're going to do this. Cool. Okay, thanks. And it happens. And then afterwards it's like, thanks. That's it. And it doesn't take a whole lot of anything to have that. It's just an entity. It's just the same thing as the Creator, only it's like a level between the Creator that was put there to help us facilitate our communication with the Creator. That's pretty much what Christ's job is. And everything that you were told in school and at church, and toss that shit out. All that historical shit. My God. Let me tell you something else. We talked about the service to others and the service to self,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
When I try to explain the difference between the two, one of the examples that I use is the conquistadors.
Hmm.
Okay, because the two different sides, they both think they're doing the right thing. They
Oh,
both
absolutely.
they think they got their methods, that they know what's up. And when the conquistadors came to the New World, they really thought they were righteous, and they went and
Absolutely.
committed mass murder and all these horrible,
Absolutely.
horrible things. And we blame that, says, oh, they were, because they had the cross. Well, damn well, Jesus had nothing to do with that,
Right.
but that's the corruption. That's Satan corrupting all this stuff. But at the same time, these aliens that are the service to self aliens, they're very similar to the damn conquistadors. They
Hmm.
think they're serving humanity. They think they're helping us to advance into the next level, but they're doing it by their terms, and they're controlling it, and they think they know what's up. And the good guys, the ones that don't interfere, they don't interfere. They stay. They may try to influence us with positive influence or positive, you know, example, but
Yeah.
they're not going to directly impose their will on us or try to
Oh,
directly
that's
interfere
a
with what we.
universal law. Yeah, to go against the will of another.
But Christ works the same way, man. It's like he's not going to. I mean, when Christ comes back and does his thing, yeah, it's going to be different. The return will be more of a dynamic situation than it was the first time around. I expect that to happen, but at the same time, I think as a service to others entity, they're
Hmm.
going to kind of let you, help yourself, right?
Hmm.
Kind of a thing. So, all in all, I just think whatever the anger is, let's talk about that. I know you're going to be all night, but uh, uh, other than the historical bullshit with the damn
Yeah.
here's your damn Bible and do as I say thing, you know.
Yeah.
But aside from that, what is it about? Is it just like a belief system? It's like I don't even want to entertain the belief that this entity ever
Well, no,
existed.
I actually researched the identity the best I could of the said individual called Jesus Christ.
Uh,
And what I found was that as a physical person, there's a whole lot of contradictions there. Um, One of the places you could might look just superficial stuff. The Empire of the City, the Ring of Fire is very interesting what they have to say about who the origins of
These are
Jesus
guys that
Christ
wrote
was.
books. Okay.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
other one, the other one is if you research Google and just put in the true authorship of the New Testament
Mhm.
.pdf, it's basically a document where God puts forth a challenge and he explains the whole coded system that went into writing the New Testament. And in there, he talks about Calpurnius Piso, who was a Roman aristocrat who actually hated the Old Testament and the influence that the Jews were having with it. And so he went and basically to the Temple of Jerusalem and tried to destroy every Jew he could find. And then they started writing the New Testament, which was basically the creation of Calpurnius
Well,
Piso.
let's. Well, we got a little feedback there. We're saying if we were to toss out all the Old Testament, New Testament, and everything for a second, I want to ask you something because
Yeah,
you referenced a couple books. What do you think
yeah.
about Dan Brown?
Dan Brown. Didn't he write the Da Vinci Code?
Yes. What do you think about all that?
I think is valid. I think is interesting.
Well, I mean, did you read the Da Vinci Code?
I
Did you
saw
watch
the
the movie?
movie. I
Ha! You
watched the
just saw
movie.
Tom
Yeah,
Hanks.
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
I
yeah,
saw. I
yeah.
saw the movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Well, so you know a little bit about the Templars and all those guys,
uh-huh. And Templars. Yeah, the Knights of Malta, the
all that good stuff,
Scottish Rite, and all that other good stuff.
and they're still active,
Jesuits,
right?
Jesuits. Yeah, and all of that. Exactly.
All right.
Well, that's some of the stuff that popped up in
Well,
Empire of
let
the City.
me let me just give you the reason why I'm bringing all that up.
All
Okay,
right.
and I'm only going to go in this. I'm only going there because you're kind of making me go there. But
All right.
the uh, the thing about the Templars, and obviously Dan Brown wrote that book as a fiction, but it's was intended to pretty much document something that's actually going on.
Okay.
And I know all about the Templars firsthand because I used to deal with these guys for real out
Mm.
here in California.
Yeah.
They're the Da Vinci, or not Da Vinci, but the Getty Museum over here is the Templar fortress. It's their hangout, and underneath that thing is one of those big bunkers. And that particular bunker that's under the one in the Getty is actually the one that was built for the Queen. It's extra
Okay.
special. Okay, so it's the big Templar fortress for the royal family. Blah blah blah.
Okay.
Now the thing about the Templars is that they were really started by the Jesuits, which was started by the Jews per se to infiltrate the Catholic Church for whatever reason they had. But the idea is the Templars when they went to Jerusalem, they wanted to do a archaeological dig at the palace, or the former palace of King Herod. And the purpose of this was that they were trying to find the old archives, which were believed to be buried there somewhere. And they wanted the archives because they were trying to get the census data and the birth data going back into the time of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And apparently they were successful. Now, some people suggest that it's not true and that they just pretended to be successful. But what happened was that basically, yes, they did go to Jerusalem. They did claim to be so humble that they had to live in the what was the stables, and it was the stables area was where they did their archaeology and dug up these things. So that's why they stayed there. But once they dug these things up, they took that stuff back to Europe, and they used the information in there to basically bribe the Pope, because they said, look, if you don't basically, give our demands, we're going to show everybody that Jesus got married to Mary Magdalene and had children, et cetera, because we've dug up all the census data and we can trace these people all over the world. And anyway, they actually did do that, and they actually did have major battles during the Middle Ages where they would go into certain towns, like for instance in France, and because they were suspected of having a high concentration of that lineage of the Mary Magdalene Christ lineage, and they killed everybody in the town. Now, the purpose of the Templars, and this has been their purpose for over 1,000 years now, is to search out those bloodlines and to identify those people that hold those bloodlines and to keep track of them and to keep their eye on them at all times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I was picked out by the Templars. Okay, I don't like to say that because it's when people think you'll go, oh yeah, you think you're special, blah blah blah. But it's just the way it is. Okay,
Right.
I did
Right.
not choose this. I've. It's also part of this whole can't be killed club thing. No matter what I do, they're not allowed to touch me. And I always suspected that one of those reasons was because of this bloodline thing, because of their ancient vows that they will basically guard those individuals that they have identified as being of that bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not I believe that, I was raised Catholic, obviously. Catholics are not taught to believe that sort of thing. At the same time, I've had to live with this now for a good many years. And I've seen the results. I've seen what happens when somebody tries to hurt me. I've seen many people die, and sometimes they die in really strange ways. And I'm not kidding. A lot when I tell people this, they think, "Oh yeah, you're just trying to act like you're all tough and all that." But no, it's true. I've had many people in my life either die or something horrible would happen to them, and these are always people that got on the wrong side of me, so to speak.
Right.
But it's not because of me. It's because of these Templar guys. So I'm just saying is that they believe that there was a Christ, and they believe that there was a Mary Magdalene, and they believe that they had children, and they believe that there are people living alive today that are somehow connected to this bloodline, and that this is a very big part of their entire existence. So, that's all I'm saying is that it's sort of when you throw that out there, whenever you have any zeitgeist types or there's people saying this and that, I mean, my God, there's people out there trying to say the earth is flat, you know what I mean? And they put a lot of effort and documentation into doing that. And it's absolutely retarded. So now, as far as Christ is concerned, let me tell you this. We talked about fractals earlier. Okay.
Right.
The Shroud of Turin, people look at that, they think, oh, that's a hoax, blah, 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 this and that. Well, and the reality is that no, it actually is the real deal. But the analysis of the marks, if you will, on the Shroud of Turin produced information that was of a fractal nature. And people can't even understand that because this is the nature of the fourth density. Because in the fourth density, our reality that we see actually appears two-dimensional. So to reproduce a three-dimensional object in this level of reality that we're in requires a somewhat fractal two-dimensional bit of information, holographic, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what they found when they finally analyzed this information, that what it was two-dimensional information for a fractal holographic 3D representation of the body that was once there.
Right.
And that doesn't come from blood stains.
No.
It's like humans can't even understand that, let alone understand how it got there. I know how it got there. It was an energy imprint. And the energy was scalar, which is two-dimensional representation of the information necessary to reproduce 3D reality.
Mm.
And that's what the Shroud of Turin was.
Right.
And yet, even if we analyze it with our most modern devices, 99% of the humans out there are going to look at that and go, huh? What'd you say?
Mm-hmm.
They don't understand this. It's like, what's a fractal? What the hell's a hologram?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'll just say this, and I hope that you will agree with me somewhat, is that when I got exposed to all the UFO crap first time, a lot of it was really hard to accept. I didn't accept any of it at the get-go. Okay,
Right.
I just filed it all away, and some of that stuff was way wacky, like all the lizard people stuff. I didn't want. I'm like, I heard about all the lizard people stuff, and I'm like, okay. I just filed that stuff away really deep.
Right.
I didn't throw it away. I filed it away.
Right.
But I didn't allow it to affect me emotionally, and I had to learn how to become an observer. When I got out of that NSA thing and I started having to get reborn and awoken and all that crap, I had to learn how to observe information without allowing it to affect me. To allow it, and then what would happen was 5, 10, so many years later, something would happen, and here we are. Okay, let me pull that in. Let me pull that out of the file. All of a sudden, here it is again.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. That's how it works. So when people tell me they think they know what's up, or they've come to, oh yeah, I'm certain this is how it is, it's like, man, you stopped learning. You just completely gave up.
No, exactly. And it's to me, knowledge is an ongoing thing. It's not like, oh, I know this and that's that. No, it's an ongoing thing.
No, you don't know nothing.
No, exactly.
And Lesley, one more thing real quick, is that at least twice in my life, I thought I had it all figured out. Right?
Oh, wow.
And then I had to go back and start over completely. Just throw it out and just start over.
So this is your third marriage?
Yeah. I'm not talking about women. But, I mean, you know what I mean. Okay. All right.
I'm on my third one right now. It's not going that good at all.
Lucky man. Shit.
Just when I thought I knew something.
I'm jealous. No. All right, listen. No, seriously. We all go through that wake up thing, right? And they just rip it off you, and you're just like, oh my God, everything I thought I knew, I gotta start over. Okay. And then I got to a point where I thought I had it figured out. Okay. And by this time, this wasn't all that long ago. This is during the Clinton administration. Okay, to be honest with you. It was during the George Bush. I woke up during Bush Senior, and my second wake up was during Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when I had to do it all over again, and that was when, because after Bush, I was learning about all this crap, and then by the time Clinton came around, I figured that it was all the Jews and the Zionists. I thought they were doing it all, and then I realized, holy crap, there's actually Nazis here too, and then that just I
Yes.
had to go back to the beginning and redo it all again.
Operation Paperclip. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I had no idea about any of that shit. Seriously.
Absolutely.
And then I
Absolutely.
find out, dude, they're working side by side.
It's side by side. That's
They
what's so
are. They're
funny.
working side by side.
Absolutely.
And I'm like,
Absolutely.
what? Well,
Absolutely.
I blew a fuse. I could not
A-
comprehend.
Absolutely.
You know, took me a
Absolutely.
year to get over that.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Um, that's interesting, Steve. I got to be honest with you. You mentioned something a while ago that could very well classify me as having mental retardation. I'm
Uh-oh.
considering that. Yeah, I'm considering that.
Shit.
But I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
Here's something that I thought about. For me, Stephen, it's something you mentioned a while ago.
Uh-huh.
Uh, this goes right back to what you just said a minute ago about when you think you know something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, now, this is the funniest thing about the truth, very often when you look at a lie and you scratch and you go, wow, ooh, there's a lie right there, wow, and keep digging. It is actually, just like I said, what looks like a little bitty little peak is actually a mountain, underneath all of that when you start digging it all the way. It's just like the Stonehenge. It's like, we thought those were just heads, the heads over there on Easter Island. Well, they dug and look, there's a whole big body connected to that head. This little,
Yeah, I know. That's that
see
crazy.
that? That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Same thing with like the pyramid that you mentioned before of Giza. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on underneath that. Some people believe it's a craft underneath that. So what I'm saying is like I started beginning to question everything, and I began to start looking at pictures and things that I saw with NASA.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear where you're going. All right.
Right, 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 right,
I'm
right,
gonna have,
right.
I'm gonna have to respond to this, but go ahead.
Of
Go
course, of
ahead. Go
course, of
ahead.
course, of course. I mean, you stated you thought of it. I got that part, but
Yeah.
I'm saying that I have been asking questions, like things that I've noticed, or things that I've observed, or things that I've seen, and it goes back to what you said. Hold on a second. You pull back out of the file, like hold on a second.
Mhm.
Like I said, I have, and I'll just keep it real simple. I've been on the ocean, hours out, in the Atlantic, and I've seen, ships as far as the eye can see. But again, I'm looking at it almost in a straight line. I don't understand that, according to what we've been taught. So that's one. And then even this one, I have a hard time with this one. I have a hard time with this one. If you look at a flight between New York and California, and the same flight in reverse, considering the Earth is supposed to be moving at 1,500 miles an hour. Now, hold on a second. A plane's maximum flight is like 550, 600 miles an hour. So it's as if a plane, if it takes off trying to head, let's say if the Earth is rotating from east to west, let's just say hypothetically.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying. You
You
know
see what I'm
what?
trying to say?
I know. I
It's
know what
kind
you're
of
saying.
strange. So I'm just saying
Well,
I've had that question.
I know, but all right.
Yeah, how does that
Let
work?
me let me just pose something at you right now, and this isn't going to answer your question, but
Yeah.
if you had a train going in one direction at the speed of light,
Hmm.
and another train coming the other direction at the speed of light, and they hit into each other, did they hit each other at twice the speed of light?
No.
Exactly.
But, but,
Exactly, man.
but that has
Because it
nothing to
defies the laws of physics.
But that has nothing to do with.
No, it does. I'll explain why. Okay.
But wait,
If no, wait, I'll
if I
explain.
may,
There's
but wait,
there's
but
one
what I'm
more
saying is, do you understand the point of the example that I
I
gave?
know exactly what you're talking about. I know where you're going with this, and I can. But see, this is the thing is scientifically, I can deal with this because that's where I come from. But
All right,
let's deal with the first things first. Okay.
right.
Um, it's the same thing as if you are on a train traveling at 70 miles an hour, and then you throw a baseball, say, forward,
Mm-hmm.
and, and you throw it at 90 miles an hour. That baseball's going pretty damn fast now, huh? It's the same thing. when you're flying, it's the same thing. You're going to be it's kind of like an ant on a basketball. All right, let me just. You were going to get to the moon thing, but I'm just going to do the let me do the Earth thing real quick.
Well, actually, I was just going to clarify about the plane thing, like in the
Yeah,
sense of the
yeah.
plane's flying at almost a third of the speed that the Earth supposedly is rotating. It was as if a plane left if it's going with the direction that the Earth is
Oh,
supposed to stay.
I totally understand what you're saying, but
It would never
it
catch it. That's what I'm
it
saying.
doesn't separate. See, I what you're basing that on is the concept that that mass somehow is like separate from the mass that it's not connected to. That
When
doesn't
it
happen.
leaves the ground.
Right. When it doesn't, it still has that same energy. Okay. This is why you don't see it. It's
All
the
right.
same reason why as if you're on a train, moving train, and you throw a ball on the train, you see the ball moving, but when you're off the train, you see something else. It totally it changes the laws of physics, if you will. The plane when it goes up, it's still moving at the same rate as even if it was standing still, it's still moving. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's the same concept. But
Okay.
this is the thing. All right, when I about 30 years ago or something like this. Let me see how old the hell I was. I was pretty young. One of the things I used to do is I made lenses. Okay, I'm an electro-optical engineer, so I worked with lasers and did all this crazy stuff. And what my specialty was flat. Okay, I made flats. I made the flats I made were the best in the world. Okay, and our country, the United States, is a much stronger country because of the flats that I made. Because we use these flats for making the machines that make computers and the machines that make the machines that make computers. This kind of a thing.
Okay.
You mentioned the reference and the yardstick and all that stuff earlier. That was a great reference because when I try to explain this to people, a lot of times I have to talk about the yardstick because it's the
Hmm.
yardstick is what's really hard to understand. The increments on that yardstick are what we're really talking about here.
Right.
And when you get to a certain level of flatness, see, the Earth has a certain curvature, and this is all mathematical, of course, but if we were to break down that curvature into a something you can hold in your hand per se, okay, like a plate, something the size of a plate, if you will,
Hmm.
and you wanted to measure the curvature of the Earth across that plate, um, it would be what we would call one fringe of light convex or plus one fringe of light. And we can see this. You know, we can measure this. It looks like circular.
Okay.
And the difference of that fringe, okay, let's say that that fringe is a measurable amount of curvature. Okay,
Okay.
it's a relatively large as measurements go when it gets down to like the microscopic in terms. That is a relatively large amount of curve.
Okay.
Okay, you can't see it because it's very microscopic, but it's a relatively large amount. Now, the flats that I used to make that we use for very high precision instruments, what have you, would be a scale of flatness 100 times or more flatter than the flatness of this, say, the general curvature of the Earth.
Hmm.
Now, just to put this into terms of what you can understand, like physical terms.
Right.
Imagine the distance between New York and California.
Yeah.
Okay. The flatness that I'm talking about, the level of flatness I'm talking about, would be such that if you were to, say, look out from California to New York, or even, say, walk there, it would be like glass the whole way. There would be no bumps, no mountains, no canyons. Everything would be there would be no deviations in
Level.
within
Yeah.
maybe an inch or two up or down.
Right.
That would be the amount of deviation from flat. See, so but that's the thing. You would have to make it that big to be able to. In other words, if you made that flat, that remember like a plate, if you made that thing 4,000 miles long, you're still only going to see little bumps, tiny, tiny little bumps.
Okay.
Okay, now the Earth is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
When, believe it or not, we really are that fucking tiny.
You're right. I got you.
Okay, I understand this is hard to, people think maybe that's the problem. The humans think they're really bigger than they are, but we're really fucking tiny. And see, the thing is that we can't even that measurement that I told you that the Earth's curvature.
Yeah.
If you were to to walk that 4,000 miles, it would still be nothing. It would still be to you. It'd be like just fucking ridiculously flat.
Right.
All right. So now if you look at you throw in all the mountains and what have you, those we would call irregularities.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those irregularities from a departure from sphere. Okay, let's say the Earth is a sphere. Assuming the Earth is a sphere, the mountains would represent relatively huge departures from perfect sphere.
Okay.
Okay, huge departures,
Peaks and valleys. Yeah.
huge,
Yeah.
and that's just so hard to comprehend because the actual curvature compared to those peaks and valleys is microscopic. I mean, if let's say you have a mountain like Mount Everest, it's 18,000 feet tall.
All right.
Okay, that is an 18,000 foot departure from pure sphere. All right, can you see what I'm saying here?
Yes. Yes.
And if you were in other words, if the Earth were if the curvature of the Earth were smooth, it would be like a damn marble, and you'd walk the surface of that marble and you'd never see any deviations that were big. Seriously, that's
Right.
how the Earth. That's what the Earth is really like.
Right.
Okay, that's the size of the Earth.
Magnitude. Magnitude.
That's the
Yeah.
magnitude. So just to understand the actual nature of the curvature by itself,
Mm.
that's what it's
Which
like.
you're saying is beyond the average most thing you could see or measure.
Yeah, you can't. Our brains can't comprehend this because it's microscopic. The curvature that I'm talking about that we use to measure the curvature of the Earth is a fraction of a wavelength of light.
Mm.
That's like if you were to look at your yardstick, that's like a billionth. If you were to take a billionth of a meter or something, a nanometer. Okay, there you go. We measure light in nanometers, and a nanometer is a billionth of a meter, I believe.
Right.
So
Right.
that's a pretty damn small little, and that's the thing is that people, they just don't. It's like looking at the sun. You can't even comprehend just how damn big that thing is. It's so damn big compared to how big we are.
So that's the other question: is that thing 93 million miles away or not?
Yeah, it's way the hell out there.
You
But
think?
let me tell you something else.
Right.
You know how we were talking about third density and fourth density and all that earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. All of these scientists, all of them practically, are all talking about this bullshit about wormholes, crap. Oh, come on, man. Or even some of they're saying, yeah, the sun is a stargate and the aliens are using it to come into our dimension. I'm like, oh my God. You
But
got
have you seen that footage though?
Well, yeah, it's true, dude. It's true. But let me explain what's really going on because people
All
don't
right.
understand what a Stargate is. I'll
All
tell
right.
you what this is.
All right.
All right. When when you do interstellar travel,
Mhm.
equals MC squared and all that shit, what they
Sure.
do is they convert the mass. They get up to a certain speed. They get their little spaceship. They get up to a certain speed, and they flick a switch, and in a split second, a nanosecond, if you will, the whole thing will turn into a damn sine wave for a second.
Mm.
Just a little squiggle of energy. All right. And
Mhm.
in during that time that it's a squiggle of energy, it's no longer in the third density. It's now in the fourth density.
Right.
And from the fourth density, it can re-enter the third density anywhere,
Anywhere.
anytime it wants.
It's like folding that piece of paper and connecting
Well,
two
they
dots. Yeah.
use that as an example, but the
Yeah.
reality is that there is no distance. There is no time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like if you put a dot at one end of the page and a dot at the other end
Well,
of the
see, the
page.
thing is because it's instant. Now, let me explain to you how they do this. the stars, and not just the stars. This could also apply to your cells or a planet or something like that, or a black hole for that matter. But they know where they're going to be at any given time,
Oh, absolutely.
right? So
Yeah.
when they say that you're using it as a gate, they're not
Hmm.
using it as a gate. What they do is they use it as a vector, and they vector to that point, and they say, okay, I want to come out, I want to reappear in say 2016, and I
Hmm.
want to reappear at Earth star, Earth sun, and I'm going to be pointing out in this direction, and that's what it is. So they're not.
Like a navigation point.
It's a vector point. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's a point
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
map.
Yeah.
That's a point on a map. So
Right.
they say I want to. They know that if you're on such and such century and you want to go back in time and you want to go to Earth, you'll say, well, where's the sun going to be at this point in time in space? That's where I'm
Right.
going to be.
Well,
Right.
what do you think about Stargate the movie?
I think that they're leaking a lot of information. I think they're really close, but I think what's really
Yeah.
going on is what I just described to you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
They
Well,
always do that, though.
what do you think about Mission to Mars? Have you seen that one?
That's the one with what's his face, Matt Damon.
No,
No,
that's Martian. I'm
really?
talking about, yeah, it's an older one called Mission to Mars. It's
Hmm.
actually got Tim Robbins in it, I think, and
Okay,
it
okay.
has Don Cheadle.
Yeah. Let me see. That's the
That's
one
a
where.
that's a fascinating movie,
Okay,
man.
okay. This is the thing about that movie. They
Yeah,
talk about 3D, 5D, and all that stuff.
yeah,
Okay, what they're trying to do is explain what I told you. Only they're doing it they're doing it from their
exactly.
perspective.
Yes,
See, because
yes,
he went into this fourth density. Only they said, oh well, he's in a fifth dimension or something. It's like, no, 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 he's in the fourth density, man. That's they, they're just trying to explain. They're trying to use all the catchwords to make it sound like they know what they're talking about.
yeah,
They threw that all. Oh, and what was the big thing they'd say? Uh, Event horizon.
yes,
Yeah, the event horizon. Where'd they get that, huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
What I thought was fascinating at the end of that movie, of course, was where it ended up and where it went to.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen a lot of films that hint on that subject, take you to a certain point, and then they stop.
Uh-huh.
And I'd be like, I had a great opportunity right there.
Uh-huh.
But
Like Matrix does that, huh?
yeah, exactly. Actually, like the Matrix, I dig, but I've come to realize once I've understood this spiritual thing a little bit better, is that actually they have it inverted. It's a little backwards.
Yeah, yeah, that's
It's
right.
backwards. Yeah,
That's right. It's
it's
correct.
backwards. Yeah, it's backwards. It's
Uh-huh.
correct, but it's just backwards. So, in other words, when you watch Neo on the Nebuchadnezzar,
Yeah, huh? Nebuchadnezzar. Uh-huh.
right, that's actually him in his spirit form, not him being physical.
Hmm.
Then reverse it the other way around. When you see him in the Matrix, so to speak, they have it as like that's just a holographic image of himself in the world. But in actuality, in relation to us, that is your physical body in the physical world, which in of itself is an illusion. So physically, when he's in the matrix, physically, like in that world, that's what we are physically, so to speak, in the world. But when he's out of the matrix and he's sitting in a chair on a Nebuchadnezzar, he's in his spirit form, but they portray him as this is him physically. You see
Hey,
what I'm trying to
hey,
say?
Leslie, I
Yeah,
got a question.
yeah.
How do you feel about the Reverend Horton Heat?
Honestly, doesn't ring a bell. I don't know who you're
I'm
talking about.
screwing with you, man. It's,
I don't know who you're talking about.
I know, no shit. It's, it's, I was going through my stupid playlist looking for a song that I was going to queue up for at the end of the show. I,
Yeah.
I pulled this one up. It's obscure as all hell, but it's I don't know what the hell you call it. It's sort of rockabilly, I think.
Okay. All right.
It's. I thought I'm gonna put. I was looking for something obscure, but I thought anyway. I'm sorry. I thought, man, some of my other friends they go, "Oh yeah, he's cool," but I don't know. See, all right, listen, dude. I'm
Yeah.
58. All right, I'm 58. This is
All right.
this is if I have any kind of intergenerational cosmopolitan thing going on whatsoever, it's because of influences I'm getting from somebody else. So
Absolutely.
anyway, my playlist certainly reflects that.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen. Obviously, we could go on all night.
Oh yeah,
Although we've in about 60 minutes or so, we will have actually gone for 2 hours.
yeah,
And I know we're going to do this again. I know that there's a couple other guys in the network that are probably going to want to have you come and visit.
yes.
And I'm going to tell them all to work on you and make sure that you learn to love Jesus.
If I may, before we go,
Ah,
can I do a shameless plug?
shameless plug. Yeah, all
Please,
right, go for it. Do your plug, man. Go for it.
please go to YouTube and check out my latest song, which is called "That Act You Do" by Lesley Blair's Butterfield Music. That's my YouTube channel. So if you would, folks, check that out. And also, you can check me out on www.milliondollarriff.com/artist/473.
All right,
That's me.
listen,
Yeah,
Leslie.
yeah,
What I want you to do.
yeah.
You're already part of all our Facebook groups, I hope, right?
I believe so. Yes, Truth Catch. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, Truth Cat. There's about three of
yeah.
them at least.
Okay,
Go post that stuff on those sites.
okay.
Okay, the Truth
All
Cat
right. Well,
Radio site or the Truth Cat Radio Facebook page is primarily for advertising, but that would be a good place to put it. Also,
okay,
there's
okay.
the Truth Cat group page for
All
sure.
right.
Put it over there. And
Okay.
there's another Truth Cat page which I use usually just for my political shit scraping, but it's I don't know what to go. But those are the three main Truth Cat pages. So if you stick them all,
Okay.
I mean, they've got two of them have got about 3,000 people, subscribers, whatever you want to call it, and then the other
Yeah,
one, of course, has got about 900. But obviously, if you put it there, that'll help us to get it out there and share it a little bit.
I appreciate that. I do.
All right, yeah, no problem. Obviously, we take care of our own.
I appreciate that, Steve. And
Um,
thank you for
is there any?
inviting me and having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, well, spontaneous. Is there anything else that you want to mention while we're here?
That's no. I think I'm good. I
All
think I'm
right.
good for now. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I know a couple of the other hosts are probably going to want to get you back on.
No problem.
And Ollie and those guys, Ollie, Piers and Ollie, I'm sure they probably going to want to do it. Because I got to be honest with you, a
Yeah.
lot of the past recordings that we've done, we've just upgraded everything, and we did about 40 something shows, and the quality is just not something that I'm proud of. So
Ah,
we're trying to start over, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this special show tonight. Is I'm trying to give people some content, and
absolutely.
so this is awesome that you're able to help me out with that.
Anytime. Yeah. Anytime.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, I had fun, and
Yes.
that iced tea is calling to me. So,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go ahead and make a movie, and this will be out on YouTube probably by the time you wake up tomorrow.
Get out. This broadcast right here.
Yeah, yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Please give me a
I'm
link.
gonna,
Yeah, this would be
yeah.
cool.
I'll link you to it when I
All
post it.
right.
I'll link you to it. So just
Please
keep
do.
an eye out, and
Please
then
do.
share it, of course, with your buddies, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
All right, I guess I'll go ahead and sign off then, since we're yeah we're a couple of 10 minutes under the hour. But I just want to remind everybody again that this is a special broadcast of the Stephen D. Kelley Show on Truth Cat Radio, www.truthcatradio.com. It is right now 9:04 p.m. on the west coast of California. It is August 21st, 2016, and I am going to just sign off, and I'm going to tell everybody before I go that I want to thank you all for listening, and good night. Adios.